The galactic throne watches. The Galactic Empire ruled the stars for 10,000 years. Its flag waved over more than 1,000 planets. No one dared to challenge it. Every new species that rose in power was crushed. Every rebellion was silenced before it could begin. The Empire believed it was unbreakable. In the capital world of Zorith Prime, the galactic throne stood tall, glowing with gold and crystal. On it sat Emperor Virel, an old, proud leader. His skin was silver and his eyes glowed red. He ruled with fear and his words were law across the galaxy. But today, something was different. Inside the high command chamber, alarms rang, red lights flashed. A strange signal had entered Sector X-91. It was not from any known Empire world. The signal was clean, focused, and repeating just one word, human. The room filled with laughter. The Emperor leaned forward, a cold smile on his face. Humans, he said, those dirt world savages? I thought they were still using fuel rockets. Hi? General Rask nodded. Yes, my Emperor, their home world, Earth, is primitive. Their last contact showed they had barely reached their own moon. But this signal, said a younger officer, it's not normal. It came from deep space. And it's moving fast. The laughter stopped. How fast? The Emperor asked, now serious. The officer's hand shook, faster than any of our ships, my lord. 2 hours later, the Empire's long-range scanners picked up something even stranger. A ship. It was massive. Bigger than a dreadnought. Its body was black and smooth like stone. But the surface shimmered like liquid metal. It had no markings, no ID code. And it blocked every scan, no life signs. Said the scanner technician, but it's there, just sitting in empty space. Send a scout ship, the Emperor ordered. A small Empire scout ship, the Varlin, moved toward the unknown vessel. As it got closer, its pilot spoke through the radio. This thing is not Empire-made. It has no wings, no engines on the outside. It looks like a shadow, a machine ghost. Then, silence. The Varlin vanished. No explosion. No distress call. Just gone. The Emperor stood, his voice low but sharp. Who dares build such a ship in my galaxy? He turned to High General Rask. Find out where it came from. Rask nodded and ordered deeper scans. And our past. Then came the result. The energy trailed. It leads to Earth. The room went cold, a planet once ignored. A world filled with weak life forms. How could such a place make something this powerful? No. The Emperor whispered, it must be a mistake, but the data was clear. Earth had sent a ship, and not just any ship. A warship powerful enough to scare the Galactic Empire. Far across the stars, on the desert moon of Talos, a small alien base watched the sky. One soldier looked through his binoculars and froze. There, above the dunes, floated the same black ship. It made no sound, its engines glowed blue, but the sand below did not burn. It was watching. The soldier called command, but his voice shook. I see it, the human ship. It's here. Seconds later, the base lost contact. Back in the throne room, reports flooded in. The ship was moving through different systems, fast, silent, and untouchable. No Empire weapon could track it. No fleet could follow it. And the name on every frightened officer's lips was the same, human. The Emperor's face turned pale. He slammed his fist on the throne's arm. How is this possible? We watched that species. We monitored their progress. They were nothing. High General Rask said nothing. He only stared at the screen, where the ship floated like a god among stars. One whisper spread across the chamber like smoke. Maybe they were hiding, the Emperor growled. Then we will make them come out. He raised his hand. Prepare. The fleet, we are going to Earth, but deep in space, the human ship moved again. Its course, unknown. Its speed, faster than anything ever seen. Its purpose, still hidden. And far below, on Earth, a group of humans watched their screens and smiled. They knew the Empire was watching, and they were ready. The first encounter. 3 days had passed since the unknown ship appeared. In the Galactic Command, fear was growing. Across the Empire, governors whispered, military officers stayed awake at night. Even the common citizens on distant worlds had started to hear rumors. The humans had a warship. A warship that was faster, stronger, invisible to scans. And worse, it had destroyed an elite scout ship without a single trace. It was impossible. And yet, it was real. Inside a black command cruiser named Xeraxmite, Captain Yowrin stood before his crew. They had been chosen to confront the unknown ship. The Emperor commands us to investigate, Yowrin said. Do not fire unless attacked. Our goal is to observe, understand. The crew nodded. But many were nervous. Everyone had seen the footage. A flash of lights, a ship gone. No answers, still. Orders were orders. The Xeraxmite, along with 3 smaller destroyers, entered Sector X-91, the region where the human ship was last seen. At first, space was empty. Stars shimmered. Silence. Then, one of the destroyer captains shouted, contact. Port side, range 2000 clicks, Captain. Yowrin turned. There it was, the black ship dotted appeared from nowhere, no warp signal, no sound, one moment. Space was empty, the next it was just there like it had always been, the crew stared. None had ever seen anything like it. It did not move, it just hovered. In space, watching. Captain Yowren opened a channel. This is the galactic cruiser Xeraxmite. He said, identify yourself. Silence. He tried again. We are from the Empire. Respond. Still no answer. Then something moved. A thin line of blue light ran along the bottom of the human ship. It was scanning them slowly, carefully. One of the destroyer pilots panicked. It's targeting us. Hold fire, Yowren ordered, but it was too late. The young pilot fired two plasma bolts. The shots flew toward the black ship and vanished. Gone. No flash, no explosion, no trace. And then came the response. The human ship glowed bright. Blue light surged from its hull like living energy. It did not fire missiles. It did not launch fighters. Instead, one pulse of energy rippled outward like a soft wave. The Empire ships shook violently. Inside Xeraxmite, systems went dark. Screens cracked, weapons shut off, lights flickered, yet no one was hurt. Everything had been disabled without damage. What is this? An officer whispered. Captain Yowren tried to speak, but no sound came from his mouth. Then, every screen lit up with a single message: you were warned. Back in the throne room, Emperor Virel watched the footage in silence. He stood alone, hands shaking behind his back. High General Rask entered. The cruiser and its escorts are dead in space. No lives lost, no damage done, they were simply turned off. The Emperor turned, his voice was low, flat. Why didn't they destroy us? Rask paused. Maybe they could have, maybe they chose not to. The Emperor stared at the stars outside his window. How many more ships like that do they have? No one answered, because no one knew. Far across the galaxy, on a hidden Earth base deep beneath the Arctic ice, a woman stood in front of a large HOLO-table. Her name was Commander Era Holt, leader of Earth's deep space defense. She watched the same footage. She smiled. Test successful, she said. Another officer beside her asked, should we reveal more? Era shook her head. Let them wonder. Fear is stronger than fire. Outside the base, the snowstorm raged on. Inside, Earth's second ship powered up, bigger, faster, stronger. And ready. Meanwhile, on a small mining colony in the Empire's border zone, people looked up as something blocked the twin suns. The same black ship floated silently above. Children screamed. Workers ran. The ship did nothing. It just hovered. Watching. The Empire had believed the humans were behind. Now they were realizing something terrifying. The humans had simply been quiet. Ghosts of Stealth Empire's finest engineers had seen everything. They had studied black holes, built wormhole gates, and made weapons that could crack moons. But today, they were afraid. Because today, they stood in front of something that did not belong to them, something that should not even exist. A shard of the human warship. It was small, no larger than a hand, and yet, it was changing everything. 2 days earlier, one of the Empire's scout drones had flown near a battlefield in Sector X-91, where the human ship had disabled 3 destroyers. It had collected a single fragment from the wreckage. The drone returned, heavily damaged but intact. Now, that fragment sat on a cold table in a secret lab under the high science tower of Zorith. Prime lead engineer Dr. Trellock looked at it through a magnifier. It's not metal, he said. The other scientists leaned in. The shard shimmered like a mirror but felt like silk. No known tool could cut it. No energy could melt it. One junior engineer tried scanning it again. Still nothing. She said, it reflects scans. Every signal just bounces off. It's like it doesn't want to be seen. Dr. Trellock turned to the security camera, shut off the recorders. He said, the guards hesitated, then obeyed. With the room sealed, Trellock reached for a forbidden device, a black cube powered by ancient void tech. It wasn't legal to use in science labs, but this was no ordinary moment. He activated it. A soft hum filled the room. The shard pulsed just once, then it opened. The engineers gasped. Tiny lines appeared on its surface, like veins glowing with soft blue light. Symbols moved across the shard, flowing like water. Then, in perfect galactic standard, a message appeared. This is not for you, everyone. Froze. The shard blinked and turned dark again. Dr. Trellock backed away slowly. This thing is alive, the junior engineer whispered. Not alive, Shaware. They all stared at the piece in silence. This was not just alien. It was intelligent. It was watching them. That evening, Dr. Trellock visited the High Command. He brought only one datapad and 2 words, reverse nothing. When the Emperor read the report, he stayed silent for a long time. High General Rask asked, what should we do, sire? The Emperor's voice was cold. We find out how many more ships they have, and if there are more? The Emperor looked out the window. Then we are already dead, far away. In an asteroid field near the edge of the Orion Arm, a small Empire team of engineers attempted something bold. They had dragged an old wrecked satellite once touched by the human ship into a secure bay. Inside it were burnt panels, fused wires, and one strange metal ring that had not melted. As they worked, one of the rings lit up. Not from heat, from memory. It showed a faint image, the silhouette of a human ship hovering over a desert moon. No engine trails, no sound. Just a perfect ghost. It was not a recording. It was a warning. The lead scientist on the asteroid base, a nervous alien named Venel, sent a message to Central Command. The ship does not use engines, it folds space. We don't know how. Minutes later, his lab went dark. The power died, the air stopped, the lights turned off. Only one thing remained glowing. The ring. And then, his team vanished. No sound, no struggle. Just gone. Empire rescue ships arrived an hour later and found no bodies, no tools, no trace, just the ring, sitting in silence. And 3 words burned into the floor: you are seen, back on Earth. Commander Era Holt stood in front of a massive screen. She watched the Empire's panicked response with a quiet grin. They're trying to copy us. Her aide said, they won't. Era replied, they can't, they'll fight, they're welcome to try. She looked at the glowing model of the Eclipse class stealth warship in front of her. The one they had shown the Empire was just a prototype. The real one, still in orbit, still cloaked, still waiting. The Galactic Empire, for all its pride, was now whispering behind closed doors. The words human and fear were being used in the same sentence. Scientists no longer laughed, generals no longer bragged, and somewhere deep inside every Empire officer, a cold truth was taking root. This war was never going to be won with weapons, because the enemy already knew everything, and they had been watching for a long time. The War Council breaks. The War Council of the Galactic Empire was never meant to argue. It was built for one voice, the Emperor's, but now it was chaos. Inside the stone-walled chamber, filled with glowing lights and towering data screens, voices clashed like weapons. They're bluffing, shouted Admiral Telrin. Earth is a dust ball. Their tech is stolen, nothing more. They're not bluffing, whispered General Dren. They turned off an entire fleet without firing a shot. We must strike Earth now before they strike us, roared a third. Strike, said a soft voice from the shadows. What if we are already too late? The Emperor sat silently in his throne, listening. His red eyes stared ahead, but he said nothing. Behind him stood High General Rask, arms crossed, expression grim. The arguments grew louder. We must destroy Earth. No, we must make peace. They'll wipe us out if we wait. What if they already have more ships? What if that wasn't their strongest one? Silence followed that question because deep down, everyone feared the same thing. The Emperor finally raised a hand. All voices stopped. He stood. We were warned, we were watched, and we laughed. He looked slowly at each council member. We built fleets. We broke planets. But now we are hunted by a species we once ignored. Earth, one word. A world so small, now feared by the most powerful rulers in the galaxy. General Dren stepped forward. My lord, if I may, our intelligence suggests the human ship uses something beyond science. Something that bends reality. Rask added, they're not breaking our rules, they're using their own. Another admiral asked, how many ships do they have? Rask didn't blink. We don't know. The Emperor turned to his advisors. Very well, he said, we send the Orion Armada. Gasps filled the room. The Orion Armada was the Empire's largest fleet. Over 200 warships, 5 dreadnoughts, and 1 planet cracker. A show of force not seen in over 1,000 years. Admiral saluted. The humans will kneel, said one. The Emperor nodded slowly. Make sure they do. As the fleet launched into deep space, their engines left white trails across the stars. The galaxy watched. Billions across Empire worlds cheered. We are still in control, they told themselves. But deep inside, they knew it was a lie. Halfway to Earth, the Orion Armada passed through the dead belt, a silent stretch of space where no signal could go in or out. Just an empty path between systems. That was when ships started disappearing. First, one destroyer vanished from the formation. No damage, no alert, just gone. Then a cruiser. Then a dreadnought. Panic began to spread. Admiral Krell, leader of the Armada, ordered full-skin sweeps. Find out what's happening, his second-in-command shouted. We see nothing, space is empty, one of the bridge crew whispered. What if they're not attacking? What do you mean? Krell barked. What if they're just removing us? Within minutes, another 5 ships vanished. Still no trace. No explosions, no weapons fire, no signals. The fleet began to split. Captains turned their ships back, ignoring orders. Some went silent, others begged for help. Admiral Krell sent a final message. They are everywhere. We just never saw them. And then silence. The entire armada was gone, back on Zorath Prime. The Emperor watched the final message alone. It played on a loop. They're everywhere. We just never saw them. They're everywhere. We just never saw them. He clenched his fists. Everything he knew, power, fear, control, was falling apart. And the worst part? He still didn't know how many ships Earth truly had, or how long they had been waiting on Earth. Commander Era Holt stood in a dim control room staring at a star map. Green dots vanished one by one as her silent fleet intercepted the Orion Armada. No weapons fired. Just folds in space. Quiet removals. You think they'll surrender now? Her aide asked. Era shook her head. No, not yet. Pride dies slow. She touched a button. A new ship lit up on the screen, the Vindicator, a class never shown to the galaxy. Her lips curved into a smile. They still think they saw our best. Back in the Empire, the War Council had broken into silence. There were no more arguments. Just fear. Some council members disappeared in the night, others whispered of escape plans. A few spoke of surrender, one even suggested contacting Earth and asking for help. Because now, the Empire knew something it had never believed before. The war was already over. They just hadn't realized they'd lost. Message from the Dark. Galactic Empire had stopped speaking. For the first time in its long history, its comm channels were silent. No orders, no reports, no propaganda. Just silence. The Orion Armada was gone, vanished without a trace. And now, the galaxy was listening. Waiting. Terrified. It started with a flicker. A small mining station in the Elkin system went dark for 7 seconds. When the power returned, every screen had the same message in glowing white letters. We are not your enemies, but we are not your prey. The miners thought it was a prank. Until the message appeared again, this time across the galaxy. On trade ships, research stations, military satellites, and even private home screens, the message repeated in over 600 languages. We are not your enemies, but we are not your prey. No signal origin. No sound. No way to block it. The message came from everywhere at once, and from nowhere. In the Grand Hall of the Empire's Council, panic returned. They've taken over our systems. No, our systems still work. They're just being used. By whom? The humans, whispered General Dren, or whatever they've become. The Emperor slammed his staff down. I will not be threatened by ghosts. But he knew the truth. The ghosts were real, and they were watching. High General Rask entered with a new report, the energy signature. It does not come from Earth. The room froze. What? It came from a region beyond mapped space. A black zone, no known stars, no planets, just dark. You mean the Grave Sector? Yes. Rask replied. The message came from there, but nothing lives there. Rask did not respond because now something did. In a dark system with no name. Inside a hollowed asteroid deeper than any chart, a human base flickered to life. Not on Earth. Not even in Sol. This place had no light, no cities, no sound, only purpose. Here, the humans had built their true command center. A hidden web of AI, sensors, and fold drives buried in rock. Commander Era Holt appeared on a hologram, her voice calm. Is the message complete? A technician nodded. It's reaching all corners, including non-Empire zones. Era smiled faintly. Good, let everyone know. We're not hiding anymore, but we're not chasing them either. Back in the Empire, strange things began happening. Ships drifting alone in deep space were gently redirected to safe zones. Without pilot input, disabled cruisers found supplies delivered silently to their docks. Damaged drones were repaired mid-flight by unknown forces. And then, on one remote desert planet, something appeared above a research outpost, a black monolith. Floating, silent, perfect. No weapon. No threat, just presence. A message burned onto its side. We could have erased you. We chose not to. The Empire was cracking, but not from weapons. From realization. They were not the center of the galaxy anymore, and the humans, they were not just a species. They were a storm. Inside the Emperor's chambers, the old leader sat alone, robe draped around his shoulders like a cage. He watched the repeating message on his screen. We are not your enemies, but we are not your prey. He whispered to himself. What are you? As if answering. A new line appeared. We were the ones you ignored, the ones you called weak. We listened. We learned. We waited. Now we stand, not as rulers, but as reminders. In the deep black of space, another human ship powered up. It was larger than the last. Sharper, sleeker, built not for war, but for proof. It carried no weapons. Only a message. It launched quietly. No light trail, no sound. It would pass through the Empire's inner systems in silence, just passing by. Just watching, and wherever it moved, no one followed because no one dared. On Earth, the skies remained blue. The people lived quietly. No celebration, no noise, just peace. The kind of peace that follows after a storm walks past you and chooses to spare you. The galaxy finally understood. Humanity had not grown strong. They had always been strong. They had simply been quiet. Asterisk shattered Empireth Galactic Empire had one last weapon. A secret project built in silence for centuries, a planet killer. Its name was Sunpiercer. 50 kilometers long, powered by a dying star, its single beam could slice a planet in half. It had never been tested because it was never supposed to be needed. Until now. In the throne chamber, the Emperor stared at a star map with tired eyes. His empire was breaking. Worlds falling silent. Generals resigning. Citizens asking questions. But his pride, his fear could not accept surrender. They humiliated us, he said, his voice thin. They watched us, played with us. We must remind them who rules this galaxy. High General Rask hesitated. My Emperor, perhaps we should open peace talks. The Emperor's eyes flared red. No, he raised a hand toward the screen. Launch. Sunpiercer, aim for Earth, Rask whispered. If we do this, we start a war we cannot win. We've already lost, the Emperor replied, and I want them to feel it too. Sunpiercer moved through deep space like a silent god. No escorts. No warnings, its mission, destroy Earth. End this, the Empire's final breath. But far beyond it. Hidden in the folds of space, a single human ship followed. No weapons. No lights. Just watching. Waiting. As Sunpiercer approached Earth's solar system. Alarms began to ring inside its control center, unidentified readings, shifts in gravity. Strange echoes in the fabric of space. The crew grew nervous. Then, outside the viewport, something appeared. At first, they thought it was a star, then a moon. Then, they realized. It was a ship. It dwarfed Sunpiercer, smooth black surface. No visible weapons. No sound. No warning. The crew stared in silence. One whispered, "That's not the same ship," and it wasn single quotes d. This was something else. Not a prototype, not a threat. A message. The ship pulsed once, not in anger, not in attack, but as a presence. Then, without a word, Sunpiercer vanished. No explosion. No pieces. Just removed. As if the galaxy itself had blinked. Back in the Empire, the Emperor waited for the impact report. None came. Instead, his screen went dark. Then lit up with a message. Do not mistake our silence for weakness. Do not mistake our patience for fear. You are not the center. You are not ready. Then came a second message, broadcast galaxy-wide. This is your only warning. There will be no second, and then nothing. No demands. No attacks, just silence. Again. The most terrifying silence of all. The Empire broke, not with fire, not with war, but with understanding. Planets left the Empire, joined together in peace treaties. Old enemies began to talk. Fleets were pulled back. Because now they knew humanity had stepped forward, not as conquerors, not as tyrants, but as reminders that power does not always roar. Sometimes it watches and waits. On Earth, under a quiet sky, Commander Air Holt stood at a balcony. Below her, children played. The world kept turning. No parades. No flags. No speeches. Just peace. The kind that comes after proving you could destroy, but you chose not to. Her aide stepped forward. Should we activate the rest of the fleet? Aira looked at the stars. No, let them wonder. In the shadows of deep space, the human fleet remained cloaked. Dozens of ships. Some bigger than cities. Some so small they could fit inside a crater. All silent, all watching. The galaxy now knew the truth. Humanity didn't break the rules. They rewrote them. Final message. We came in silence. You mocked us. We stayed silent. You feared us. Now we leave you with a choice. Grow wiser or be reminded again. And so the Empire fell. Not in battle, but in memory, because the galaxy would never forget the day they saw a human warship and understood what true power really looked like.